Okay, so uh, if you were on at the beginning of today's call, maybe you were hearing us talking a little bit about nursing and this new project that I've became involved in as a co-founder back in August 2025, a couple months ago, called Nurse Redefined. And my social, not even social media, like my WhatsApp groups that I'm in around the Nurse Redefined project with Eliza, my co-founder, and then also the longevity mastermind group that I'm a part of. Uh, Throughout those apps, there was a lot of posts this morning about um, some things changing potentially with the current administration in the United States, where nursing as a field of study is potentially being excluded from the label professional degree, which on its face might mean possibly that people who are studying nursing maybe can't get the same amount of loans for their training as what maybe they were able to before. Okay, so it's like that's the facts, right? So we're talking about this. I want to be very, very clear. We're talking about this in the Josiah Brandt Mastermind. Okay, so we're going to take an imagination approach to this. All right, but it seems like the facts are that there's a reclassification happening in nursing, maybe potentially reclassified in a way where it's not considered a professional degree. And the immediate consequence of that is that maybe there's less money available for people who are studying nursing as a profession to be able to get that degree. Okay, so uh, this news broke. I saw the article shared from nurse.org, which is just a big nursing organization, and immediately the division, the name calling, just like this almost kind of vomiting action of like, what the heck is wrong with these people? This I mean, name calling of, people in the administration, agencies, organizations. Like you could just see that it was this big emotional reaction to this thing, which from an imagination perspective, and for those of you that have taken BMT, we would call ambiguity. Okay. So perfect example to talk about what it means to hold the vision of what we do want in the face of ambiguity. Okay, so let me explain what I mean by that. Okay, so ambiguity, as a word, the word ambiguity means we don't really know what it is. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be one way, it could be another way. We don't really know. It's just data. It's just, something that we're seeing, but we don't have the whole picture yet. Okay, that's what the word ambiguity means. We don't really have all of the details or facts yet. Okay. So manifesting as a process involves learning to become comfortable with ambiguity. And so ambiguity, okay, so as an example, right? Okay, so let's say that you're in a situation where you're learning to occupy the state of the feeling of the wish fulfilled of being a wealthy person. Being a wealthy person, maybe your old state was living paycheck to paycheck and always wondering, am I going to have enough? And then, you start to wake up and you're like, wait, I literally am the intelligence and the awareness of the cosmos inhabiting a physical form. Giving my power away to a paycheck or to money doesn't suit me. It's not a good look for me being literally the intelligence and awareness of the cosmos in a human form. So I'm going to shift this state. I'm going to shift this attitude, and I'm going to start to embrace my true inheritance of being that wisdom and intelligence and awareness of the cosmos in human form. And I am going to trust that the universe has my back and that everything that I need, financially and otherwise, is always at hand. And God or the universe or consciousness loves me and cares about me, and I'm going to appropriate the feeling of the wish fulfilled of having everything I need. Right. So you make this big statement like, okay, this is my new way going forward. All right. And that happens on a Monday. And then on Tuesday, here comes a bill for, let's say, a medical procedure that you had done a couple months ago that you thought was going to be covered by insurance. And it turns out it wasn't. And it's $3,000. And immediately you are hit with this trigger of, oh my God, I thought I was embodying wealth. And now here comes this big bill that just reminds me how much money I feel like I don't actually have. Okay. This is an example of ambiguity. Ambiguity. Okay. So why is it ambiguity? Because I mean, it looks dark, right? It looks dark to get a $3,000 bill right after you're affirming, having all of the money and being, provided for and sustained. All of a sudden to have this thing that's unexpected that seems like it's going in the wrong direction. Okay. But in truth, it's ambiguous. Why is it ambiguous? Meaning it's just data, but we don't actually know if it's good or bad, right? Until we apply a meaning to it. Okay. So just the data itself is just ambiguous. I mean, we don't really know which way it's going to be. But we as authors, we can apply meaning to that bill. So if we look at the bill and we feel triggered, which I want to be clear here, sometimes we need to feel the trigger. Okay. Sometimes we need to feel it. I'm not insinuating that we spiritually bypass and refuse to feel the emotion. Okay. Because sometimes that emotion just is asking to be felt. And that's actually what the problem is, meaning that we've been refusing to feel it. Okay. So there is this state of being willing to feel the energy in motion in order to be able to release it, as opposed to suppressing it so it feels like it has to keep coming back until we can finally feel it. Okay. So I'm not advocating that we spiritually bypass the feeling. Okay. But what I do want to call our awareness to is, what is the story that we're telling about the feeling? Okay. So if that bill comes and immediately we begin to spiral in our thoughts, why does this always happen to me? Why can I never seem to catch a break? What is wrong with, and then, kind of cast the blame on it. Like, what is wrong with the insurance company? What is wrong with the provider? Why is healthcare in America so expensive? Like, it's like you can start, when you're feeling hurt, you can start to like shoot darts out in other directions. Okay. And that can be part of the story that you're telling. Okay. So if you start to go that direction, now you've taken something that's just data and you started to apply a story to it. And a lot of times this happens very subtly. Okay. Very subtly. It can be like, it just, the thoughts just kind of start running. And if you're not present enough to catch them, you can let the story begin to build until you're now saying things or taking actions, doing things based on a story that you're telling in your brain or in your awareness, potentially on a subtle level. But now you're making that story real because you're acting on it through speech, through uninterrupted thought patterns, and through behaviors. Okay? So you've taken something that's just data. Oh, okay, here comes a bill. And if you're responding to it emotionally and getting sucked into applying a negative meaning, now you can end up making something that in and of itself wasn't good or bad. It just was. You can now make it a negative thing or a bad thing and start to treat it through the power of assumption that it's a bad or negative thing. You can start to treat it like a bad or negative thing. And the next thing you know, you're acting like someone, you're speaking like someone who is a victim of circumstance. And now you've allowed a bill that just is what it is, just arrived in the mail, to take your power away from you, to steal your power of authorship. And now you're writing a meaning that is negative. Okay. So this is exactly what I saw people doing this morning. So I saw that article about nursing potentially being removed from the list of professional degrees. And again, the reason why this matters, one of the main reasons why this matters, is because of the affordability of college tuition and programs that help people take larger loans because they're more intensive areas of study. Okay, so that article broke. And on LinkedIn, it's literally people doing exactly what I just said, but about this situation. So comments like, American healthcare just went from the trash into the crematorium. Okay, that's a literal quote from someone on LinkedIn. American healthcare just went from the trash into the crematorium. Okay. Perfect example. I'm going to use this person unwittingly. We're going to heal them right now. They don't even know this is happening or that we're talking about them, right? They're just some person somewhere in America making a comment on a LinkedIn post. But we're going to use this as a perfect example for what we're talking about. Power of authorship. Okay? So this person is labeling a situation that's ambiguous and applying a negative meaning, not just to the situation, but they're now making it broad, right? They're saying now the whole system, and they're applying all these negative words to it. Okay, so one article, and they've surrendered all of their power and all of their authorship. Okay, now to be clear, usually people that do this have a long habit of doing this. So this probably isn't the first time they've surrendered their power and entered the victim state. They're probably living in a victim state in general. And so now they're angry because they feel like their power has been stolen when really they've been giving it away for free this entire time, probably for a long time, probably for decades, maybe even for a lifetime. Okay, they've been just giving away their power without realizing that's what they're doing. Okay, now they feel angry about it, and so now they're lashing out and they're using words, right, to talk about what they don't want. When really this is just a symptom of using authorship, but in a negative way. Okay, so let's talk about what the truth is. Okay, so the truth is potentially nursing is being excluded, right? So the first list that the Department of whoever published did not include nursing on it. Okay, but the truth is that there's a window, right? And I really want to make this clear. The point of what I'm saying is not the details of what I'm saying, okay? I hope you can see that. This is not about the bill or about the rules. That literally is not the point. What I'm trying to make a point of is that this is ambiguous. It's ambiguous, okay? We don't really know if it's good or bad. And it's not up to us to choose that it's bad. It's up to us to write what we do want, okay? And advocate for it, get clear. Okay, so anytime ambiguity comes up, the point is it's an opportunity to get clear. Okay, so the bill itself, there's a public comment period, which means that there's an opportunity for everybody who's like, no, wait a second, nursing definitely needs to be included as a professional degree. All those people have a chance to say something, okay? Which means that we could potentially create an outpouring of support across America for nursing as a profession, okay? Would that be a good thing? I would say yes, okay? It's like sometimes you can take for granted what you have until someone suggests getting rid of it. And then you'd be like, well, wait a second, that's actually important. But maybe you didn't know how important it was until you took the time to think about it. Okay, so maybe this ambiguous thing about nursing, maybe that's an opportunity to think a little bit more about what truly is important about nursing. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is that it's possible in the realm of possibility, it exists, that maybe there's a whole other type of program specifically for the profession of nursing that could be introduced that is potentially way more advantageous because nursing is in a shortage right now, right? So it's possible that it's removed from the list of professional degrees and added to something that's completely brand new. And maybe now we have millions of nurses getting trained and maybe it costs them nothing, okay? It's entirely possible. Right? But guess what will never be birthed as a possibility as long as we're talking about American healthcare going from the trash to the dumpster, to the crematorium. We're just all of the places you don't want to be. Okay? That will never be explored as long as we're in victim consciousness. Okay? As long as we're letting the ambiguity be defined by negativity, we will never consider the possibility that this could be potentially the best thing that has happened for the nursing profession in the United States of America yet. Because the truth is, it could be. It absolutely could be. The truth is, we could be having this conversation in 2050 and say, hey, remember 25 years ago when there was this administration that got elected in the United States And, they took nursing off of the list of professional degrees, and everybody got super upset about it. And it caused this big uproar, and then this huge outpouring of support for nurses. And then this new thing was born, a new bill came in, passed, blah, 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 blah. And now look at how for the past 25 years, nursing has been supported in these ways, X, Y, Z, K, Y. Okay. It's entirely possible that in 2050, we're having that conversation. Okay. But that will never happen from a place of victim consciousness. Okay. Now I'm kind of mixing metaphors here. Let me bring it back to this idea of the bill arriving in the mail. Okay. So the bill arriving in the mail, if you take this route of labeling that as being a negative circumstance, right? Oh, it's just more proof, that I'm doing it wrong, or, wealth manifests for everybody except for me. Like whatever that voice can be in your head that's like, I'm a victim, power's outside of me, I'm angry, I feel stolen from, like whatever that voice is. If we let that voice pick up the pen and start authoring, okay, we are severely limiting what can potentially come out of that. Okay, so the correct or the right or the activated imagination way to approach the $3,000 bill arriving in the mail is to look at it and say, this is an opportunity for a demonstration. This is an opportunity for a demonstration. Okay. I remind you all of the most popular video I have on my YouTube channel. Actually, it's the most popular short form video I have on my YouTube channel. And it's me interviewing Shwetha about the time her mother sent a bank wire to what she thought was a supplier, but she had been engineered for a scam artist to change the banking instructions. And instead, $1.2 million went to the wrong organization, right? And her mother was told it's gone forever. It cannot be reclaimed, can't get it back. And her mom works for a nonprofit. So this is like a really big deal for them to lose $1.2 million of people's donations. Okay, it's a huge deal, huge crisis. Okay. Right before Shwetha manifested her mother wiring $1.2 million to the wrong person, guess what Shwetha had been manifesting in terms of like where her focus was? I want to be a master manifester. I want to be a master manifester. I want to be the author. I am the author. Whatever circumstances come, I can use my power of imagination to overcome them. Okay? Within 3 days, boom, mom sent $1.2 million of people's donated money to a scam artist. What a perfect story to illustrate the power of authorship. Because what Shwetha could have done is collapse into victim consciousness. And that's not what Shwetha did, which is why it's the most popular short form video on my YouTube channel. Instead, Shwetha said, this must be the opportunity to express the state of master manifester. It must be. So let me go into the silence and hear my mom say, right? She in the short form video, she says about how she literally recorded a guided meditation for herself. Hear your mom say, like hear mom saying, the money's back, the money's back. And she literally did this meditation for herself over and over and over and over again. And of course, you know how the story ends. Against all odds, against bank presidents that said, this is gone forever, it's not coming back, give up, okay? Against all odds, the money came back. It was recovered, right? And then if you listen to the whole interview, you also find out that it was 90% of it was recovered. And then when she heard that, she was like, oh no, not on my watch. This is gonna be 100%. I'm not settling for 90%. So she went in and did it again. And then the rest came, right? So it's literally like she put that flag in the ground and was like, I am not backing down from this. I did not make a guided meditation for, hey, Shwetha, 90% of the money came back. She's like, no, I made a guided meditation for all of the money came back. And so she literally like, no, I refuse to settle for less. It's all end of story. Okay. All right. So this bill comes in the mail, $3,000. Okay. You can do as Shwetha did and you can say, oh, this must be my opportunity to make a demonstration, to prove the power of authorship, to prove the power of I am. And then to go into your imagination and see the bill paid. See it paid. Okay, so when I pay a medical bill or dental bill or whatever, on that slip that comes in the mail, after I make the payment, I write down at the bottom in handwriting with a pen, I write paid, and then I write the last four numbers of the account it came from, just so I can track it later. And then I write the date of when I paid it. Okay. So if I get a $3,000 bill in the mail and I did not have $3,000 to spend on this bill, what I would do is I would go into my imagination and I would do what I would do had the bill been paid. So in my imagination, I'd take that paper and I'd set it down and I'd pick up my pen and I would write paid 1, 2, 3, 4, and then whatever the date is, right? For sure by the due date, right? And I would just do that over and over and over again until I had that calm, assured knowing that it was done and it was no longer an issue. And then let the bridge build itself. Okay. And there's obviously unnumbered ways that that can manifest. Okay. So the purpose of talking about this morning is to get a little bit clear on this idea of what it means for something to be ambiguous and how ambiguity, something that looks like it could be bad or negative or something flowing in the direction you don't want, how that can actually be a step in the right direction if you engage with it as the author. Okay, so I'm looking at this. So there's like already this nursing thing came and immediately I was skeptical. I was like, there's no way that this is as bad as everybody is saying it is. It's ambiguous. It's just data, right? Like nurse.org made a huge, act of authorship by saying, oh, this is a terrible thing. And now all these people are going to suffer, right? And then, of course, the comments just mirror that back to the state that it was presented in, right? So it's like this, the algorithm tends to push what is divisive and generates outrage, okay? I was talking to our social media professional. We have a team for the Nurse Redefined project. And we were talking about the tone of our social media. So it's like we sit with them 2 times a month, and we talk about like they record it so they can transcript it and put it in their AI and everything. But we talk about like what's really important about the movement right now, and then out of that they create the reels and they create carousels, and then they'll do clips of us talking. Maybe you've seen that on my YouTube channel. I'm posting like the shorts that they've created and edited, and all that type of stuff. And I was talking about in the most recent meeting we had last week. I was talking to the team about essentially the power of authorship and like how the way that we frame things can really affect how the message is received. And the leader of the team, she like stopped me and she was like, hold on. She's like, okay, so we need to talk about this. And she's like, so there is a technique in social media that we call rage baiting. And she's like, and basically what we do is the hook of the reel or the carousel or the post is something that can cause people to be like, what? What right? Like, how dare they? Or like, what is wrong with people? Like anything that'd be a rage bait, right? And she's like, this is literally a technique that we, meaning the social media industry, professionals that create social media, this is literally like a technique that we do. And she's like, are you saying you don't want me to do that or don't want us as a team to do that? And this is what I told her. I said, look, I understand why it works psychologically. And also, integrity is the most important part of this broadcast. So I would rather broadcast from a place of integrity and not get the same reach from the algorithm than broadcast something that's rage baiting that is lower than the consciousness of the movement and then get a whole bunch of likes and shares and views. Okay. It's like, it's walking a fine line, but like at some point you have to say, okay, this is what I'll accept. This is what I won't accept. And she's like, okay, well, if we have an idea for something like this, she's like, we'll run it by you and you can tone check it to see whether or not it fits. And I'm like, yeah, okay, perfect. You know, but point making is that they do this on purpose. This is literally a technique to drive the algorithm. It's like someone wakes up in the morning and is like, how do I get more views on my social media? Oh, I know. Let me yell about how unfair it is what this, I mean, really fill in the blank, but like one of the favorite things to throw darts at right now is the administration in the US. It's very easy, low hanging fruit target. And yes, I can see why, right? You can make anything sound bad, right? You can. Just choose something that, you know, a lot of people would be feel polarity about, and then post it, and then get a, you know, the algorithm will pick it up and run with it, and you'll get all these comments, people being outraged. Okay. But really, all they did was take the bait. Okay. They just took the bait. And when they write things at the bottom, the algo loves that. So it'll show it to more people. Okay. So there literally is this mechanism of driving more of what we don't want because people respond to it emotionally. And that's the whole purpose of rage baiting social media, is to drive the reaction emotionally, to make people have an emotional response to something. Because when they see something and their emotions respond, they look at it longer. And these apps are literally measuring every time you, like, if you're scrolling and you pause and you look at something, it's counting how many milliseconds you're looking at it for. And it will now start to weight in the algorithm what is eye catching, what is attention grabbing, and what is not, based on when you pause. Okay. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. Like, I understand how these things work and I refuse. This is just a personal choice. I have no judgment for anybody who is. I'm just saying, from a personal perspective, I choose to not have my attention cannibalized in that way. That's just a line in the sand that I've drawn for my own life. Okay. Because I learned enough about how it works. I was like, I'm okay with not giving my energy in that way. Okay. So, but that's how it works. Okay. And the world really is all about, you know, it's the attention economy. Okay. So let me bring this back around, and then I'm going to invite some commentary. Like, we can kind of discuss it a little bit. Let me bring this back around one more time, just to really make clear the idea that I'm bringing for this mastermind this morning. Okay. So the idea is that events are just events. They're just events. When I teach storytelling, it goes like this. There's a couple parts to it. The first is, when you're telling a conscious story, okay? It's what happened. And just the facts, please, ma'am. Right? Just the facts. Okay? So it's like, it was raining. Okay? I was walking to the store to buy bread. Okay? Just the facts. No emotions, no like how I was feeling as I was walking or what I thought might have been happening. No, just the facts. And by facts, we mean, what can other people who aren't inside of us all agree on, right? We can all agree that it's raining. We can all agree that we saw Josiah walking to the store. We can all agree that we saw Josiah coming out of the store with bread. Okay. So it's like the consensus reality is just the facts. Okay. So that's the first step of telling a conscious story. What are the facts? What happened that everybody would agree happened? Okay. The second step to conscious storytelling is what we made it mean at the time. And you say it like that. You say it like that. What I made it mean at the time. Okay. So, and I'm going to give you an example of this to wrap this up. Okay. What I made it mean at the time. So you own your initial reaction. And why do you do that? Because when you own your humanity by being authentic and honest about what your initial reaction was, when you're telling a story, you are empowering everybody who hears you tell that story to do the same in their own lives, to own their initial reaction, and then also to choose the power of authorship. Okay. So just the facts, what I made it mean initially or at the time. And then the third step is what I made it mean when I applied the power of authorship. Okay. So it's like the facts happened, maybe, not always, but maybe initially the pen slipped a little bit. And initially you were like a little triggered or a little concerned or a little worried. Okay. Maybe a little bit of feeling powerless potentially. If so, say that, but clarify that that's what you made it mean at the time. I made it mean. Okay, that's owning authorship. Those 3 words. I made it mean. 4 words. I made it mean. And then the last step is, now that you've been through the experience, what meaning do you own now as the author? Okay, I'm going to tell you a story now to demonstrate this process, and then we'll open it up for conversation as we move towards wrapping up. Okay. I've told this story a lot of times, so it may be repetitive, but it does perfectly illustrate these three steps of telling a conscious story. Okay. So October 2016, I am visiting the beautiful city of Montreal, Canada, with a couple of friends, and I decide to go for a jog in the evening around downtown Montreal. And I'm jogging, and there is a lip on the sidewalk that I don't see, and the toe of my foot catches it, and I fall on my arm on the pavement while running. Okay, so I had like a lot of momentum. I fall on my arm on the pavement while running. And continuing with just the facts, I fractured my arm, I think in 2 places. It's like the upper arm is like somewhere in here, around the whatever part of the arm that is. The nurses on this call know. And had to go to the Canadian Montreal hospital, and get it put in a sling and all this type of stuff. Okay, that's just the facts. All right. Step 2, what I made it mean at the time. At the time, I made it mean that the sky was falling in my life, because it was a physical injury that I knew was going to take me out of the game for a couple of months in order to heal the arm. And right at that time in my life, I was working an events job, which required a lot of lifting and setting up, events, setting up displays and tables and chairs and podiums and equipment, and and moving that stuff in and out of vans and storage units, and traveling all over the region to do this. So it's like a very physically active job. And also, I had just signed a lease on a new apartment and had a whole apartment worth of stuff to move out of one apartment into a new apartment. Okay, so I just made all these decisions, all this stuff was happening, and right then was when the arm broke. Okay, so initially I felt very powerless. Initially, I made it mean that I was a victim of circumstance, and that life was tripping me up, all puns intended, on purpose, so that I could just suffer a little bit more. It's pretty sour about it right at first. Okay, that was the meaning that I applied as the author initially. And for the first 3 days, I was in a lot of pain. I was under the influence of pain medication, which made me a little loopy. I was feeling pretty dang sorry for myself. Okay, so that's what I made it mean at the time. So just the facts: running broke my arm. Made it mean that I was disempowered. And then, somewhere around day 3, day 4, I snapped to my senses, and I pulled up myself by my bootstraps, and I put on my big boy pants, and I said, you know what? A broken arm's not going to keep me down. This is going to be the greatest thing that has happened to me yet. And I took ownership of the broken arm, and I said, I'm going to learn how to ask for help. I'm going to learn how to receive help from people to help me move. I'm going to learn how to receive help from people on my team to help me set up events. And I'm not going to feel guilty about not pulling my weight, because I'm healing. And I'm going to show up to the best of my ability, and I'm going to let people help me. And this is going to be a huge step forward in my life. And I owned that as the author. Okay, so there's your 3 steps right there. The facts, what I made it mean initially when I fell into victim consciousness, and then the meaning that I applied once I regained the pen of authorship and woke up enough out of the daze to really take back my power. Okay, and then just because we have to finish the arc of the story, it was about a month later, while my arm was in a sling and I was washing dishes at the sink of my new apartment, and I had headphones in, and I was listening to Abraham Hicks, and her video ended, and autoplay started, and that was the first time I ever heard Neville's voice. And instantly I knew that something important was happening. And basically, breaking my arm and the slowing down in my life that that required led to me having a lot of time to go all in on learning what Neville had to say. And then the following year, starting my YouTube channel so that I could help other people learn the power of imagination. Okay. So looking back, it was the greatest thing to happen to me yet at that point in my life. Okay. So it came true. My prophecy came true. Okay. That's my story. And now I just invite, maybe let's do popcorn to kind of wrap us up here. So I'll just call on you and a couple of thoughts about what comes up for you or what resonated. Um, I'm not going to call on you. I'm just going to let you unmute and we'll just do popcorn. Like whoever feels like they have something they want to say. Go ahead.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Um, a great way of teaching us how to frame what could be potentially negative, and I'm referring to the nursing aspect of it. But if we look at this on a micro level, nursing, and then zoom out and look at what's going on at a macro level in all industries, education, government, personal lives, everything. It's the great shaking up, right? So to look at it like, okay, it could be a crisis, but I had a spiritual teacher who said the same things, just framed in a different way. She said, every time that something comes in front of you, there's a sacred pause, and you have the option to pick your response, which is what you said. And then she said that, okay, you could go from victim consciousness, which is where you are in your root chakra, but as you learn the lesson, your consciousness rises along that path. And at one point, you become the victor, which is when the consciousness is at the sacral level. So you have overcome something horrible, right? And then as you navigate that experience, you go to the crown chakra and you're the vehicle where you're using this horrible experience. And you understand that there's a gem with every challenge that comes. So all of this shakeup here is here for good. It's here for good. And from this is going to be birthed something like you referenced that, what's to say that a new category for nursing funding won't come up, you know? And you can use this model in literally every challenge in life that you are facing. You can use these steps to navigate with grace, ease, and, come out and serve others and help them navigate. So I'm so glad I got on this call. Chef's kiss.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for sharing that. And I love how you tied it to the chakra system. That's very revealing to understand that our initial reaction is usually from where our root is. And then that idea of overcoming the victor, right? From victim to victor, and then all the
Yes.
way up to the crown. That's really cool. I appreciate that lens.
There's an article that she wrote, or rather her partner wrote, but I will, if I can find it, I will send it to you.
Yeah, please do. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Andrea.
First, thank you so much, you and Jamie. So, of course, being a nurse for over 40 years, I was deep in my root chakra.
Mm,
And you heard it probably in my first statement about he's going to get sick and then he's going to see what a nurse.
a little bit. Yeah.
So mean. But yeah, it really affected me personally. So to have it reframed in the way that you did and to bring me back into spirituality and consciousness and looking at it and reframing it and going through the chakras. I'd never heard of that, of chakras used that way before, but all of it, I am so deeply appreciative. And I'm so glad that I got up. I'm also on the West Coast, so it's 9 o'clock for me. Um, it's like when I remember, like when I was younger and used to go to church, sometimes the preacher would say something that was just for me that day. And that's how I felt like this resonated. This is exactly what I needed. And I'm sure all of the nurses and people who love and respect nurses have that kind of root response as well. So I'm going to share this. And I am one of those social media folks. So I'm sharing it
Please do.
everywhere because
Yeah.
I think we all need to hear this. It's like when you're a nurse, that's like your identity. is so tied in it. And especially with
Yes.
me, being a nurse
Yes.
since I was 19,
Yes.
it's like, if I'm not a nurse, I'm not a professional, what am I? So a very,
I get that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
very quick response. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you. I
Andrea.
want to say
Yeah.
you and Jamie, thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
great responses. Love it.
Thank you, Andrea. Yeah. A brilliant opportunity to offer the reframe in our communities. That was what I was speaking with Eliza about this morning. She was like, she sent me the link to the article, and she said, "I can see so clearly what's happening here. The intention is to create divisiveness." And so, she was like, I'm really feeling inspired to write a post that brings us back to center. And so we were collaborating on the tone of that post and whatnot. But yeah, it's like as much as it creates a reaction on one side, we can also balance it by offering another perspective. So yeah,
Where can
beautiful.
I find your post? Is that on WhatsApp?
It's on Nurse Redefined. It's on the IG, Nurse Redefined Instagram.
Awesome. I'll
Yeah,
get
find
it.
it.
Share that too.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Anybody else feel inspired to comment on what we talked about today?
Yes.
Kathleen, go ahead.
Yeah, I just it was very relatable when you said like with breaking your arm, like it's going to be the best thing that will ever happen to me. I had the same with the car because I manifested the car and then I lost it in 1 month. So it was really a feeling I was devastated. Like I just fucked it up. I just messed it up. I was feeling so bad.
Mm,
And um, and then it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me because I got back together with my ex-boyfriend. I got the car back, and I got a lot of insights about my fears and
mm,
being unworthy and yeah, childhood trauma that came up, and I really worked on it with the body coach and other yeah, therapies. So yeah, I just wanted to share this, and it was really very relatable.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Appreciate that. And I love now that you have your basically your go-to story that can inspire others. Right? This is something you can now share to inspire others, which is awesome.
Thank you.
Hey there, Bill.
You, okay,
There we
unmute.
go. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. I've been on here in a couple of weeks, I guess, but things have been moving right along with me. Everything's going good. I mean, some of the things that I planned on having already set up haven't come through yet, but they're on their way. Uh, Listening to what's being said, especially about the nursing and all of that, that's that's been an issue for a long time. It's just getting worse. And people won't till it's gone. Believe me. The biggest thing I guess I got to say is I'm just you got to stay grateful to everything.
Yep.
And the issues I'm having right now, which they're not issues, they're basically just what's coming to me is I'm getting a lot of people that are really having a hard time, and I'm sharing with them why I seem the way I am in my you know day-to-day life, and it's just incomprehensible. They can't seem to grasp how you can gain what we have as far as our birthright, and they can't get over what's in the past. That's basically what I try to get to them. Is what you're trying to do is you're trying to resolve the past by making another future, which all you have to do is just stay right in the now. You got to be here right now in this day. And I guess it's just the way that the energy that's going on right now, like you said, with the speed and everything, and people are having a hard time getting by with just day to day life, buying groceries. That's ridiculous. It's just they don't see any hope in it. It's crazy, and I just keep bringing it. You know, I know me saying that kind of stuff could bring it, but I always, tell myself that I'm just explaining it. I'm not saying that's the way it is, because the way I see it, everything's the way it's supposed to be. It's bringing everybody to where they need to be. The struggle I'm having right now is just watching everybody having to go through it. It's so hard for me to see people that can't see the truth and what's going on. I mean, especially in my family. My family's the biggest part of it. It really hurts. But I try to bring that up, or I bring that up. I'm really not trying to. I am doing. Got to get that word "try" out of there. Trying is just another excuse for not thinking it's going to happen.
Bill, you may have.
Are you breaking up?
Yeah, I think you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm running across South Dakota right now, heading for Wisconsin.
South Dakota to Wisconsin. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good stuff. I appreciate you sharing, Bill.
I really like that one you gave the other night, where you were driving in your car. I like that one.
I'm glad that resonated.
Subject.
Yeah.
Everybody kept saying it was you and AI, but I know better.
That's
But anyway.
Yeah. Thank you.
That was a spur of the moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yes.
Yep. And anyway, I'll let y'all get back at it. And I'll keep listening. I'm still here. I'm just being the observer, watching. That's what we got to do. We got to watch.
Yes, indeed. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate you sharing.
Y'all, guys.
That video that I posted on Friday, I did see some comments. They're like, "Is this AI, Josiah?" Like, it's not that hard to tell if a video is AI. Okay, so if you can see bugs flying around and dust floating in the air, chances are it's not AI. No AI is going to take the time to render that. So I was like looking at it, noticing all of the little details. I didn't know my car was so dusty. It's kind of funny. But yeah, no, definitely not AI. Also, I have no plans to do AI on my channel, period, because it's something sacred about the humanity of the channel. That doesn't mean I don't use AI in other parts of my my life and work, but I don't see, at this point, I don't see doing the digital twin that so many people are doing. I don't see the need for that. I'd rather keep it authentic. Meaning authentically human. Like, I'm not implying that AI is not authentic. I'm just saying keep it authentically human. I think there's something to be said for that. Cool. All right. Any final thoughts here as we wrap up?
My thought is you are the absolute best, Josiah. Thank you so much for being you and sharing you with all of us.
Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate that. I'm very grateful for you all. We're coming up on Thanksgiving next week here in the United States. There will be no mastermind next Sunday, just so that we can have time to spend with family. I'm going to be doing a Friendsgiving on that day, which for those of you that maybe haven't heard of that, it's like usually Thanksgiving you spend with your family. And then sometimes you do something here called Friendsgiving, which is basically the same thing, but with all of your friends. So we're doing that. We're doing it with the family on Thursday and then with friends on Sunday. So I hope that you all get to have some sort of experience like that and to celebrate everything that we have to be grateful for. And yeah, there is, as Bill was sharing, there is a lot going on right now. And I'd say that especially when there's a lot going on, that's the time to really like sit down and contemplate all of the ways in which we are blessed. Let's not take it for granted, right? We are very, very blessed as a people, and let's take the time to appreciate that. All right, so that's all I have for you today. Thank you everybody for joining. I really appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this space with me. No call next week. We'll plan on picking it up again the following week. Till next time, imagine wisely, my friends. Have a great week. We'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.